During the year 1940, the Nazi government compels slaves in the concentration camps to forge millions of pounds. They are to be smuggled into the Great Britain to overwhelm the banking system and destroy the economy, which would assist Germany in winning the war. When the counterfeit bills have been packed in suitcases, they are dispatched by trains. On a certain night, the women of a significant arms factory in Birmingham, England, are forced to continue working as the city is being bombed by the German aircraft. It is the birthday of one of the employees today, so they sing the happy birthday song to her and go as far as to light a candle. However, the sweet moment is ruined as a bomb is thrown in the factory, instantly blowing up the factory and killing all the workers. In the meantime, Tommy is living alone. He was once the head of the most influential gang of Peaky Blinders in England, but now he is sitting lonely in a countryside, working on his biography. His assistant Johnny tells him in the morning that their hometown Birmingham has been bombed, but Tommy does not react. Johnny also tells that he hit a woman who was escaping town and she knew him in the old days. "Would you know what became of Tommy?" she said to him, "the king of all the gypsies." Johnny explained to her that Tommy retreated out of this world to write. As Tommy works on his book, he can hear the phone ringing. As he walks out of the table to unplug it, he sees someone running in his lawn. He then throws the table on the floor in frustration. He makes the choice to go on a walk and discovers a red scarf on a tree. As he continues writing later, he confesses that he had been experiencing visions of his deceased daughter of late. The scarf is however real and he is unable to explain its origin. As the scarf is annoying him, he goes ahead and hangs it on the grave of his brother. Later in the afternoon, Tommy is paid a visit by his sister, Ada, who informs him of what had happened to the factory. She asks Tommy to come back and assist, but he rejects her request, saying that he has to deal with his mental ghosts. Ada chastises him, since he has not seen his sons in years. But Tommy claims that he has never been a real father. A frustrated Ada informs him anyway. His son, Charles, is fighting in North Africa and the other son, Duke, is the new head of the Peaky Blinders. Unluckily, he is putting the gang in great trouble, and Ada fears that he will be hanged by the law or lynched by the villagers. Tommy claims that he has changed since his brother died and he is not able to go back. Firefighters and cops in Birmingham are taking care of the factory that has been destroyed. That is when the Peaky Blinders come and the cops are aware that they are unable to stop them. The gang tears the front door off and begin to take away all the weapons that were not ruined by the explosion. The owner tries to complain at once, and Duke tells him that they are allowed by the chief inspector of the police of Birmingham and hands him some money. As the owner continues to complain to the officers, Duke, his right hand Elijah, informs him that any individual who attempts to arrest them will be named and their families will be whipped. The factory boss declares that he is not afraid of them, so Duke goes and kills him. His workers respond instantly, hence the paid blinders also beat them senseless without any trouble. When the civilians have been put to a stop, the gang clears all the weapons they can find. Ada later goes back to Birmingham and picks up her son Carl before heading to the factory a few moments later. Nevertheless, the workers instantly accuse her of being audacious to show her face, as even the Peaky Blinders aggravated everything. Duke goes to a pub, where he comes across a Nazi agent called Beckett, who presents him with a sample of his counterfeit money. The money is quite ready to be injected into the British economy at the tune of £350 million, and he wants to inject it using gangs. In case the Peaky Blinders accept to cooperate with him, they will receive a 20% commission, but they will need to be prepared to anarchy that will come after. Beckett also states that his superiors wanted him to have a conversation with Tommy. Thus, annoyed Duke shoots the car out the window in the declaration of his authority. Duke responds yes when Beckett questions him whether he will be willing to betray his own country. So, Beckett says to him that he would need to prove it to him this night. The following day, Tommy hears some noise in his house and he quickly picks up a gun and goes to investigate. He finds a note on a table, which reads, "Follow the open windows." Tommy does until he comes upon Co reading his book. He aims his gun at her, yet a more detailed examination stuns him, as she is much like the dead mother of Duke, Zelda. Co reveals that she is a twin sister of Zelda, and she continues to talk to her in dreams and seances. She states that she is sent here by a message of Zelda. The twins are gypsies, and Duke is also becoming involved in evil individuals who will ruin the gypsy people. Co assures Tommy that he would guide him to inner peace in case he is willing to go back and stop his son. Johnny suddenly enters the room and holds a gun in his hands because he thinks that there is someone in the room, but Tommy surprises him by informing him that Co is their guest. Privately, Johnny informs Tommy that Co just exploits grieving mothers by saying that he can reach the spirits of the sons the war had taken. He fears that she is playing around with Tommy as well, but Tommy disregards him. Duke takes a look at his pigs in the afternoon and cleans up up in his stockroom. At this point, he is approached by Ada, who calls him out on the raid of the factory and wonders about the pigs. According to Duke, a slaughterhouse was struck, hence he is temporarily taking care of them. But Ada does not think his story. Then Duke tells her that he had been selling medicine, and Ada recalls that the hospital was robbed of medicine. She threatens to report him. Duke, however, notes that no one can stop him. Then, Ada visits one of her friends who was an employee of Tommy. She informs him about what Duke has been doing and how she is considering going to the military police. Ada requests him to testify and stand by her, but he will not help her, as going against Duke will only lead them into trouble, and he thinks that the only person who can stop him is Tommy. In the meantime, Tommy visits his wine cellar, where he accidentally drops a bottle upon hearing a sound. He is also a visionary of his time in the frontline tunnels during the war, and this proves that he is a victim of extreme PTSD. In his book, he states that he took the war to his house in order to be able to sleep. He needs to smoke. He is later shocked awake by Ko, and he is given the scarf, and he inquires about his brother. Tommy will not discuss it, but Ko keeps prodding at it, asserting that she is really Zelda in the body of her sister. Unable to make her believe, she tells him that the scarf was left by his daughter and that she had spoken to his brother and quoted what Tommy had told the grave to demonstrate this. Now he is interested and wants to hear more, yet she will reveal more only in case he is willing to help Duke. Tommy claims that he is not that man anymore, which is why she offers to make him recover his old self. Then they both begin to be naughty, and she is discussing their old date spot as yet another reason that she is Zelda. Upon completion, Ko informs Tommy that his brother does not blame him because of his death, and everybody thinks that he self-deleted. Tommy attempts to silence her, and it turns out that the brother stole his car, and thus, Tommy was pursuing him. Feeling guilty, Tommy tells about what has happened. It had been a foggy night and his brother had smoked too much, and therefore he believed that Tommy was the devil. Tommy killed him accidentally in the struggle. Ko reassures him that Tommy is forced to release. He is not able to save his daughter or his brother, and he is able to save his son. Birmingham is bombarded once again in the evening. Individuals hurry to the shelters, and Ada uses the opportunity to speak to all the locals simultaneously. She would like to stop Duke, yet she will require their testimonies to report to military police. In the meantime, Duke has an interview with Beckett and Virgil, the deputy head of the British Fascist League. Virgil will assist in spreading the counterfeit money throughout the nation, and thus he would like to speak out the specifics. Virgil is impressed because Duke tells him about his plan of obtaining the cash using 3 canal boats. Then, Beckett reveals he's received intel that marks Virgil as a traitor and therefore can't be trusted. Duke immediately shoots Virgil, who tries to crawl away while slowly bleeding out. Duke shoots him a second time to kill him, but Beckett orders him to use all his bullets on him. Afterward, Duke is left in a very anxious state, so Beckett assures him that he works with extremely important people and Duke will be protected. Soon, Duke will have to take the boats to Liverpool and collect the money. But for now, Duke must get rid of the body. After Beckett leaves, Duke smashes a bottle in frustration. Then, he feeds the body to the pigs. In Liverpool, the ships with the suitcases full of money finally arrive. The next morning, Tommy finds himself alone in bed with the scarf. After putting it back on his brother's grave, he finally decides to act. He puts on his old clothes and gets his car, announcing he's going to Birmingham. A very worried Johnny thinks this is crazy and volunteers to go with him. In the meantime, Duke wakes up after spending the night with a woman. He realizes he still has Virgil's clothes, so he burns them. At that moment, he's approached by Beckett, who tells him what Ada did in the shelter. He wants Duke to kill her before she goes to the military police. Beckett also says he's ashamed of his son, but he'd be very proud of Duke if he was his child. Afterward, Duke follows Ada and Carl around town and hides in a phone booth where he can pull off the perfect shot. However, his feelings for his family don't allow him to do it, so he smashes the phone in fury. He continues to follow her and notices a car stopping near her. When Beckett comes out, Duke yells to warn her. Unfortunately, it's too late. Beckett shoots her a few times to kill her and steals the bag with the testimonies. Before leaving, he tells Duke that he didn't make him proud. Carl has a breakdown and Duke can only stare, feeling helpless. On the road, Tommy stops the car and comes out to stare at Ada's ghost, which makes him realize she's dead. Minutes later, he arrives at the crime scene, and a cop tells him that Duke was involved in Ada's death. Tommy sends Johnny to the mortuary to guard Ada's body while he takes care of the rest. At the pub, Tommy stops the music before asking for Duke. The locals immediately insult him and confront him for his attitude. When things are about to escalate, Elijah realizes that this is Tommy and informs the crowd. Everyone backs off except a soldier who doesn't recognize the name and points his gun at him. Tommy responds by putting a grenade inside his shirt, so The guy runs out of the pub in panic and blows up. Then, Tommy picks up the soldier's gun and shoots the record player, forcing Elijah to take him to his son. In the stockroom, Duke packs a few things and tries to leave. However, Tommy finds him and throws him in the mud. He also takes the medicine bags and starts throwing them at Duke while scolding him for crossing all the line. After Tommy kicks him, Duke explains that he wasn't able to kill Ada because he's still loyal to his family. However, he sins often because sin is the only thing his father left him. He angrily tackles Tommy and they start fighting in the mud. Tommy easily overpowers him and forces Duke to tell him about Beckett and the plan. Afterward, Tommy goes to the mortuary and takes Johnny's gun before sending him away. He then talks to Ada's body, saying he should have come sooner when she asked. He also admits that he killed their brother and it wasn't an accident because he had been drunk and full of rage. Tommy explains he killed his brother to be free of him, but after so many family deaths, he swears something good will come from all the bad. When he leaves the mortuary, he's in tears. As soon as he steps outside, Tommy finds Beckett and they start shooting each other. The horses protest in fear while the guys run from spot to spot trying to stay hidden. Beckett tries to convince Tommy that Hitler is right about cleaning society of the bad blood and thinks that ending the war with banknotes is better than bombs. When Beckett wastes his last bullets, he pushes the horses to use them as cover and runs while they block the alley. Tommy then gets on a horse and rides through the streets where the locals welcome him back like a king. In the pub, Duke is drowning his guilt in alcohol. Co visits him and explains that Zelda's spirit once told her that Tommy and Duke would one day work together, so this is Duke's chance to do what is right. She also gives him a bullet and tells him that after they take care of the Nazis, Duke must kill Tommy. Co promised him mental peace, and this is the only way to achieve it. If Tommy dies, Duke can become the new Gypsy King, which is what his mother always wanted. When Co leaves the pub, she bumps into Tommy and tells him Duke will help him, but Tommy says that first he needs a gypsy cart. Inside, Duke flips a coin to come to terms with his decision. Tommy comes in and pours a drink for both of them while Duke agrees to help him kill Beckett. Moments later, family and friends gather for Ada's funeral. The body is put inside a gypsy cart with a few photographs, and Tommy sets it on fire, watching the flames as he deals with his grief. That night, Duke calls Beckett to warn him that Tommy will go after him. However, Duke still wants to help, so Beckett agrees to pay him $70 million for finishing the plan. Meanwhile, Tommy is watching the ashes that used to be the cart. At that moment, he's visited by dockyard boss Stagg, who gives him all the information about the suspicious warehouse and boats on the dock. When Duke arrives, Tommy introduces him to Stagg and announces he's decided to trust his son. Then the men make a plan using Stagg's intel. Tommy wants to use the Waterloo Tunnel, so Stagg points out that it was sealed off after half of it collapsed. However, Tommy assures him he'll find a way in. On the way to Liverpool, Tommy keeps writing his book and dedicates it to his children. He mentions that Duke should be his natural heir, but tonight's mission is a test that will reveal his true nature. Eventually, Tommy finds the sealed entrance to the Waterloo Tunnel and asks Co for help. Her cousins immediately use their tools to start cutting down the gate. While they wait, Tommy asks Co to read his palm. She does so and only mentions things from the past, so he asks about his future. Co tells him that tonight he'll get the peace he wants. So, Tommy pulls out his gun and admits he knows Co wants to kill him since she first visited him. He says she's a bad omen and Co replies that if Tommy doesn't kill Duke, the boy will kill him instead. While Tommy enters the tunnel, Duke talks to Beckett, who asks him about Tommy's plan. Duke tells him the boat's routes and that they'll only have a few guns, so Beckett translates it all for his German soldiers. Soon, German planes are bombing the area, which causes more parts of the tunnel to collapse and trap Tommy. This makes him have PTSD-fueled flashbacks about his time in the trenches and have visions about his dead loved ones. But Tommy doesn't give up and digs through the debris until he's free. He keeps running until he finds the stairs. At the dock, German soldiers watch the boats arrive. They immediately open fire at Stagg, who activates a bunch of explosives before jumping into the water. It turns out this was the plan all along. The boat crashes into the dock and blows up, killing all the soldiers with just one explosion. In the warehouse, Beckett realizes Duke tricked him and points his gun at him. Duke explains that his coin told him to disobey his father, but he chose to disobey the coin and do the right thing instead. At that moment, a bomb explodes inside the warehouse. This knocks Beckett down and Duke runs away while Tommy finally gets to come inside. Soon the pay blinders surround the warehouse and get into a gunfight with the remaining Nazi soldiers, killing them all without mercy. Tommy also kills a few men as he sneaks around and bumps into Duke, who wants to know why he took so long. A frustrated Tommy tells him he's only here because his mother asked and sends him away. Then Tommy puts a landmine among the money boxes to blow them up, effectively destroying the Nazis' plan. plan. Seeing all this, Beckett gets in his car and starts driving toward Tommy, who waits for him with his gun out. Beckett shoots him in the stomach twice before Tommy shoots him in the head. The car keeps moving and Tommy opens his arms to wait for the end, but Duke tackles him and the car crashes into the wall instead. As Tommy collapses and the gang surrounds them, Tommy gives Duke a gun and asks him to end it. At first, Duke refuses, but Tommy insists, so Duke pulls the trigger. The Peaky Blinders say goodbye to their boss and Duke cries as Tommy dies reciting a poem. The gang calls Duke the new Gypsy King, so Duke tells them to burn any fake money that may remain. Sometime later, Co collects Tommy's book and gives it to Duke. The gang gathers around a cart containing Tommy's body, some photographs, and the last fake bills. Duke sets it on fire, and the group stays for hours around the P to offer a proper goodbye. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.